Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. I'm Mr. Pelican. I'm running for your mayor of Abbotsford. I'm here to about my city, help my residents, the vulnerable, the families, and what took place. But my goal in Abbotsford is to get the RCMP in because I will get forensic audits done. I'll get who was who, I'll get their emails searched, and I'll get everything done. And the RCMP will be able to pull people like Mogel forward and get him to testify before the court on all the backroom deals and everything that was taking place with Henry's son, Darren Braun, Henry's brother, and everybody Henry loaded. When I learned this information from Henry's own son, who was the economic officer in the city, that didn't know nothing, he was a sewer rat, and his dad put him in charge. So you tell me, son, I need you. You can look after me, son. Do all my dirty business. Henry knew to push the people out, a bully, and get them out by using the newspaper, which Vicky Hopes did. It's obvious, you can see her. And now she's writing a story. Colin Watts' team got 30 drunkard drivers off. She's trying to buddy up to Colin Watts. Oh, Colin, can I give you a kiss? Colin, I'll write stories. Why? Why is that happening, Vicky Hopes? So she don't get investigated because you know damn well when the newspaper looks away from this, there's only one reason you did. Either you're shagging with the guy or the guy's paying you. And I tend to believe Vicky Hopes might have a little bit of morals, so she took the money. Because that's the only reason, as a newspaper, you would cover it. My life has been threatened. I've been hit and ran. I've been left for dead. I've been drove over. I've been done. Unbelievable. I know when you're in this kind of stuff, and they consider this politics. It wasn't, it was greed. But through it all, every day I had a pat on my shoulder by the Mission RCMP for my residents and saying they love you, they need you, and this is unbelievable. You know it all from what Darren Braun showed. I'm here to bring the best to Abbotsford. The Abbotsford police are retaliating in a high level. When I got charged, or not charged I should say, called out on a DUI, the Abbotsford police were dispatched everywhere. They emptied the whole police building, cost everybody off duty to come. Mr. Pelican got called in. The golden opportunity was, we won. Oh, the surprise on their face. Oh, they're up and down. And then, kind of when it went wrong, they looked like them people that promote the Canucks when the Canucks lose the playoff. I'm never going to a game again. Dead. What happened is this, ladies and gentlemen. I returned to the facility that called me in. The security and management and everybody was outraged. How do you know we complained? I said the Abbotsford police officer that pulled me over told me right away. He didn't say we're just checking you, we're doing a DUI, we're just doing that randomly. He told me, who told, because he wanted the company's name and the CEO and that company to carry weight. And he told me who the complainants were, and he put him in harm's way. Now, I'm a really patient guy, so I confronted him and said, take care of it yourself, clean it up, and you better make sure this crap doesn't ever happen again on another customer or another person. And if I was DUI'd and drunk, I'd be in the tank and wouldn't have my driver's license. I don't know why your staff did this or whatever, but I presume they'd be with Ross and somebody called it and said, use your company, you're a big person, the cops will believe you, you're a CEO, position. But the Abbotsford police put you in harm's way of who told. The next person who gets called and ratted out by you or whatever and gets charged, they're going to retaliate. And this is the incompetence of what's on my streets every night. From picking up hookers to racing Dodge Chargers, they can't wait to get a 911 call to proceed at the speed. We need to chase. Oh, the adrenaline's going to rush through us. Let me explain it. These men are filled with Viagra, and they need adrenaline rush, and they need to get out there, and they need to do it. And the next morning, the chief in the briefing, well, we're wrong, Staff Sergeant. Get the corporal in. The corporal, oh, what happened to him? Oh, they just, no apologies. No going back and telling the building you did this, or you put us in a bad way, you did this, and now go stand on that facility for, no, nothing. Young police officers doing garbage, friends of friends and buddies of buddies. I think maybe it was Keelan Olenoff's son that was out there, or another loser Henry could find. Somebody. The competence of telling who ratted you out is bad. That's why I make it clear when Darren Brown told, because he told the truth. And Darren Brown put a lot of people in problems. Darren Brown knew a lot of information, and I make it clear that I tell it was Darren Brown, so the RCMP know to go to what source and get the information, so that when they start criminal and forensic audits, they know the kid will cut a deal and he'll tell everything and everybody and how the threats were, and they'll get the law back in here and get cleaned up. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I stand here on Ron Funka Diverse. Why are I here? Let me explain. The organized crime in Abbotsford is not our gangs. Make no mistake. Let me explain why. Let me explain to Colin Watts' gangs. I'm working. Colin Watts is now probably going to worry that positions and the clever man with his underwriters like Rob San Diego's got writing the grants, I told you, to write stories. Let's get Langley RCMP in to help. Let's get Mission RCMP in Chilliwack, and we'll say we're working together on a massive raid and give us some bragging rights and everything. They got to distance themselves because the company is in criminal activity. And the RCMP are smart enough to look at it and say, yeah, Colin Watts, your new building, nobody came to cut a ribbon or give a barbecue. Not your former police chief, Mike Sir, who covered the hit and run, who helped Henry do the threats, who covered not an investigation on Keelan Olenoff and Gertie Purdy. And not even Henry Brown, Ed Fast, Mike DeYoung, and Bob Rich. And now you want to use us and show our president that we're working there and you're a good company. You're a loser. You can't handle the position. You got untrained man. You're running wild, and you figured Henry, Vicky Hopes, and all these people. You don't know the responsibility of law enforcement. You don't know how to fill out a black book, do an investigation. You're on a free ride of Abbotsford taxpayers, and they see it, and you were probably handpicked, and you need to get out of here. Oh, please, RCMP. Please, everybody, we're supposed to work together. We're going after the gangs. The RCMP are smart enough to know when they see criminal activity, and construction is the biggest, largest mob, which is threats. That's why Henry, who was already a rich man, his son said, needed to go into the city. When you're worth that much, why would you go sit on the mayor's seat? Because it's worth hundreds of billions, of billions, of billions, of billions, of billions, of billions, and billions, and billions, and millions and millions of dollars. Manipulating decisions and manipulating that. He put the perfect keys in, and Darren Brown showed me. All but one. He used Abbotsford First, which were the councillors, to squish the Abbotsford city, and you saw that on decisions, Cooper Farms and everything. Used big players to lobby him in so residents couldn't sue him. And the Abbotsford police wouldn't investigate organized crime, collaborating, racketeering, or nothing. And then used the newspaper to block it all. Big Papa Bear. But Papa Bear tried to end my life. Left me for dead. Used the Abbotsford police to threaten. Let Mike Sear figure I'm the police chief. I should flee out of here and not be dragged back in front of all my guys, kicked to the ground, and charged. That's what's got to be done, because it changes your police function. I'm not going to cover for you, buddy. I'm not going down this route. You were police chief. And Donna Macy fled, and the whole thing fled. I showed you the other day a lady from Chilliwack named Nicole Reed. She's a sitting council of Chilliwack. I was with Chilliwack staff today, and here she is, right there is Nicole Reed. And I showed you she's an active city council of Chilliwack, and she's on community futures and all the boards of Abbotsford, which is illegal. She lobbies our money to her friends and her friends only and everything. And then she works with Rob San Diego of Archway Community Services and tries to put out all the other nonprofits so Rob San Diego could get all the one grant from the federal and provincial government, and I could disperse it. And Rob San Diego's wife on Community Tash, how he voted the board out and everything. Henry was setting it all up. Because let me explain, Chief Watts. Go look under Bruce Banman. It never happened because he knew he's going to get caught, and Henry would use the newspaper. George Perry and everywhere. Because it's insider trading, it's collaborating, it's racketeering, it's families on families. Rob San Diego figured Henry did it with his son. I'll do it with my wife. Nicole Reed did this, Chilliwack City staff told me. Why she ain't called out in the Chilliwack Progress, which is owned by Black Press, which is Vicky Hopes and Ken, friends of friends in the newspaper, are drilled what she's doing as a councillor from here, is because Henry Brown would probably say, in my opinion, which is true, with Ross Siemens taking the heat, knowing he should have stopped her, and now go after all her investigation of the grants that she was giving out because they were given to her friends, and they weren't fairly lobbied to the functions and everything else. I showed you Rob San Diego of Archway and all the money. Why? Why? Chilliwack city staff said she's being jacked in the corner. I said, oh, I can imagine who. Not by David Eby. No, I gotta say, David Eby, he's looking pretty sharp and pretty clean from this. I think he's looking really clean. He's not be telling the truth. It's a scam of a scam of a scam of a scam. Henry Braun. Henry Braun's partner is Rob Funkadivers. What? Ron Funkadivers. In return, Nicole Reed doesn't get scandaled by the newspaper if she gives Ron Funk with the City Council of Chilliwack fast tracks jobs out there around Funkadivers. And that's why she's been allowed here. So she needs a perk. So she was smart enough not to get a kickback out there, so she went to another municipality and got it from here where the operation's set up. This is the headquarters of the mob dispersing itself through the Fraser Valley. This is where they're set up. The sting is got to be in it, is in Abbotsford. This is the major league. So let me tell you, Chief Watts, let me explain something to you. And I want all the social media, law enforcement, your wife, your family, Henry Brown, Ron Funk, and everybody, Chilliwack Mayor, Nicole Reed, and everybody to hear this. When Darren Brown told me, I sat for 2 years with the advice of the RCMP, sealed them lips, till I called the mayor election. Allowing them probably to have the upper advantage for insider trading and searches, and they're the best. They're the best. Knowing that the Abbotsford police were doing it, and Henry had friends in these men, using that company. Ron Funkadivers bought this. The Abbotsford police, Chief Watts, brought me out at 1 o'clock at night when they hid the development signs, the former developer, and he was taking them down at night. The Abbotsford policemen and women showed me that they were working at night because they got caught hiding behind the development signs, behind the general public's back without hearings, and rushing it. And Henry sold it to Ron Funkadivers and lobbied his partner to buy it, the CEO. And they were working when the noise bylaw and everything takes place to get out before they got caught the next morning before the press came in. But Henry probably said, don't worry, Ken and Vicky Hopes and Tyler Olson will cover that. Tyler Olson worked here. He used to run a news thing. And he used to run it. Then Darren Brown showed me that Henry used counsel to fast-track to change the decision for his partner, Ron Funkadivers, from 200 to 400 units without going back through the official community plan and what was taking place, the road increasing, everything. He knew, I knew how, when you thought I was making petty videos, how Henry was going to fast-track because every dollar. He needs to bust all the codes. He needs to bust all the permits so he's not red-carded and everything. Knock the site down and haul it into Chilliwack illegal. Pour concrete with the trucks on the road. Make sure bylaw don't infraction me, everything. Probably saving $2 to $3 million in money. No delays on site. Why? Why, Chief Watts? You know why, Chief Watts? You're an investigator. You don't know why, so I'm going to tell you, Chief Watts. I'm going to tell you so you can know how to do it. Ron Funk did pre-sales, Chief Watt. You know what pre-sale is? He lied to his customers and got them to buy his units so he could make money and operate off of their money, but their down payments and everything, and then said, when I'm so far, I get the rest. Any delays, he's on the hook financially. If the job gets closed down for this illegal and it's hauled in again, Ron Funkadivers is going under on the projects here and projects everywhere. So you need a way out, Chief Watts. You need a friend. You need to know how to do it. Since Big Papa Bear was the engine, Big Papa Bear asked all the city officials what were the bureaucrats to do it. When Darren Brown told me, all I had to do was sit in a position and watch it unfold and video film it and let it play. Then I knew Henry was in trouble. Ron Funkadivers needed more favors, Chief Watts, more. Let me tell you what you need. You need a drug criminal charges dropped You don't pay the officer, you pay Chief Watts off. That's how you get them done, right, Chief Watts? It's easier than hiring a lawyer. Ron Funk of Diverse put Ross Siemens' signs on the developer's site. All the developers were screaming at me, and I said, just be quiet. We need to make sure that they're front and center. With Abbotsford First and Dave Lowens. You know what that is, Chief Watts? He paid the mayor to get in and run the mayor, right, Chief Watts? And you can see it. Ross doesn't stand here and say, this is a great facility, this new building will help the housing market and everything. Ricky Hopes don't stand here and Dave Lowens don't stand here. In order, he ran Ross Siemens and Dave Sadu helped him from the Catrito newspaper to fast track these job sites. Illegal, criminally and illegal. Now, Henry Brown needed it stopped. He needed Rob Funk not to go under investigations on all his jobs. The illegal act of buying city officials, fast tracking jobs, tying up the city on Abbotsford residents and the homeowners. Henry Brown started using your police force and your man in your police force to start issuing threats on Abbotsford residents that were told. Henry Brown didn't know his own son, who was the development officer, who worked on these projects, who knew how to set them up for his dad, and knew what chips to put in play, was telling of what he was doing over the general community. When Henry Brown knew that his son told it all, and Rob Funk is now facing insider trading, fraud, and everything else, Henry had to spoil favors. He asked Keelan Olenoff to start threatening. He asked your Abbotsford police to start blocking. He asked the Abbotsford Police Task Force to go on Mogel. He knew when I come in, I'm coming in for one thing, to go after Ron Funk of Diverse, to open the fairness on job sites for the other developers, what happened in Augustine, the lobbying, because Henry knew his son told. Henry can see his son told when I show you who owns Diverse, what Rob Funk's position is. Now you tell me, Ron Funk of Diverse, you tell me, because you're tied to Henry and you got a little money in your pocket, that insider trading, fraud on Abbotsford taxpayers, when Abbotsford taxpayers got to work so hard, and Rob Funk does this, Chief Watts. Let me tell you what he does. Rob Funk gives to your police foundation, to Henry's brother, Erwin Braun, who was appointed. Not a democratic process to elect to the board, him and Sandy Blake. And everything you look with this organized crime, Chief Watts, it keeps coming in your door to your officers, and your officers sitting the Monday morning beating, and I'll tell you what we're going to do to Mr. Pelican, we're going to beat him. Other law enforcement divisions have helped me tremendously. I've switched my plate through ICBC because they know I own a black Dodge truck and everything else. I'm here to fight for my Abbotsford residents like Superman was. I'm not going nowhere, Chief Watts. I'm not backing down from nobody or no persons. I'm going to lead Abbotsford residents. I'm going to show social media. Your face is going to be front and center. Olenoff's face is going to be front and center. Mike Sir, who covered it's going to be front and center. Henry Brown's going to be front and center. Rob Funk of Diverse is going to be front and Rob San Diego is going to be front and Dave Lowens for stealing my sign is going to be front and center. And all of it takes place. But let me explain one more, Chief Watts, to you, so you don't got to ask your investigator, give him the day off, because I'm going to help you. There's another man you're missing, Craig Toes. You know who Craig Toes is, the Chamber of Commerce, he ran UFE. He sold the property in Chilliwack staff told me, to Ron Funk of Diverse. And you know who was involved in helping all this? Oh, let me tell you, you don't need two investigators. Nicole Reed. This is the same man that became the Chamber of Commerce that offered me a bribe to Ross so Ross could finish this and load me. Once you sell your soul, you're in debt to them the rest of your life. Abbotsford deserves the best. And since George Ferguson is no longer here, and I want to explain, when I go to sleep at night, George Ferguson wakes me up every night and tells me to fight. Fight, Mr. Pelican, fight. Fight. It's heroes like him. It's heroes like Bruce Banman that stood up when Henry tried the scandal. It's heroes like Mogel that stood up when the Abbotsford A.P.D. task force was used to threaten that South Asian. I want to make sure all South Asians see the white-collar crime in Abbotsford done under this. What they did to this humbled individual in them unmarked black cars. You know who we are? Tell them. I'm going after gangs. There was no gangs in my house when Abbotsford police decided to come and block me 24 hours for Ross Siemens to win. There was no gangs. In fact, Chief Watts, John Rustad of the BC Conservatives there with Abbotsford homeowners. There was no gangs with Mr. Pelican. When Henry Brown got in this black car and left the city and tried to end me, the gangs were in the top and always have been in the top, working the Abbotsford A.P.D. And that is no mistake, and it's no lie, and it's not falsified, and it's not. The whole social media and the whole of Abbotsford could see Chief Watts and his men screaming, kicking and dying and choking and gagging and everything. You were in high, elite, organized crime on my residence, on people's families. You covered up attempted murder, job lifting, threatening, insider trading, and everything. And it was all planned under Henry Braun. I want to make sure when I make these podcasts from the information I learned from Darren Braun, I knew there was no other way either for me to stand up and show this or land up in the Fraser or some graveyard of what was taking place. How many officers have been used and been targeted behind the back? How many people that Henry had their phone numbers and everything? And that's what it was for, Chief Watts. Not an honest day to survive and live in this great community and pay your bills. This. And you tell me, Chief Watts, when you get up tomorrow morning in the briefing with your new plan of how to stop and derail Mr. Pelican, you stand all alone. No former police chief with you. No Henry Brown standing in front of your building. No Ed Fast, no John Van Doggen, no George Perry, no Bruce Bamman, nor Corky Neufeld, nobody. Because they all can see that you're into organized crime and you weren't running this, and that is why I stand on this world stage to defend Mogill. Respect what Barty Sandu did when Abbotsford first was jacking, what Nicole Reed did, what Dave Sadu did with Marcus Dalvis on the 10 to make sure that I get the best for my residents, and my residents deserve the best, and they deserve fairness and everything, and that is the RCMP, and not some crap like you, Chief Watts, not some garbage that thinks I can hose 71 million, buy new trucks, race Dodge Chargers, pick up prostitutes, threaten people, and do all this, and I got a friend that'll investigate me. This is organized crime. This is what the gangs and everybody watch my podcast and look and say, this is a police chief of Abbotsford. So Watts, there's only one thing for you, your company, to do. You're so greedy and so disgusting, you can't even stop it. You figure every act, people should take sympathy, increase the police protection out in Abbotsford of 100%, showing that you're trying to show strength and fraud taxpayers, buy big Chevy trucks and defraud it. It needs to have accountability, it needs to have people sent to jail, and it needs the presence of the law. And like the judge said, nobody's above the law, Mr. Pelican. No one can use the law, no one can bend it. And Chief Watts, no one thinks it in the end. You thought of your little sheet uniform with your guys and your little hero shit, your little blue flashers and adrenaline rushes out there and your stuff, and hang with an organization of a criminal activity where other residents got to pay development permits and be told and spend millions of dollars and be threatened for these lands. Now let me make it clear, Chief Watts, really clear, really clear in the briefing up and down. Your high-ranking officers were involved in organized crime and failed at all. And they all have to be gone and cleaned out. They were all involved in it, Chief Watts. There's no pity here, no safety here, no I can handle it. And it shows when the leader of them ain't here. Their hero ain't standing beside him, Henry Braun. He used them like toilet paper, like his son said, and now he leaves them. They've lost their jobs, they destroyed the company, they destroyed their career. But they made Abbotsford residents and the whole of Canada see why private police cannot and must not ever be trusted or ever take presence, because assholes like Henry Brown got in to own it. Now that's the truth, Chief Watts. So I would expect that you hang your head even more in the retaliation tomorrow on Mr. Pelican and Abbotsford residents. You got to increase 100 times more, because Mr. Pelican ain't going nowhere, Abbotsford residents ain't going nowhere, and I'm pushing for the full weight of the law for criminal charges, and they will take place. And I'm going to tell you, Rob Funka the Verse, you made a bad decision when you partnered up with Henry Braun. I'm live, ladies and gentlemen, Abbotsford, British Columbia. And I suggest you do one thing, Chief Watts. You go look up the former hero and the mayor of Abbotsford, George Ferguson. And I believe when I argue, and I argue strong, that's George Ferguson's words. And warning you all, shit's gonna hit the fan. Police chief or no police chief, investigator or no investigator. What you did to Councillor Mogale, that South Asian, I want all the South Asians across Abbotsford and across Canada to see the white-collar crime, the racist acts that took place in this town under this police force was run by an elite establishment from the back doors, and it was all set up by Henry Braun and his establishment. I'm live, Abbotsford, British Columbia.